My God, the man actually did it. Yes, capping off the year of Sanderson, Sanderson has included one additional story. It's not even really a novella. I would classify this as just a short story under the Sanderson Curiosities label, letting you all know it's not going to be a major cosmic story, but instead more just one of Sanderson's musings. And it really does feel like that. As always, this review is going to be split into two parts, my spoiler-free thoughts, followed up by spoiler-filled with a warning, so do not worry, sit back, relax, even if you have not finished. Long chills and case dough, because we're going to be having a good old time talking about this. So, what exactly is long chills and case dough? As I said, not even really, I would say, like a one sitting read. I would call this like a one poo read. If you're a poo reader like myself, you can just crank this one out, no problem, super duper fast.
See, there you go, getting into TMI territory again.
And it is an odd one. Getting into the setup, we are following a noir detective in the distant future who likes to play pretend he is from the 1930s to 50s. I believe that's the height of the noir genre, fully embracing the aesthetics of it all in a cyberpunk setting. I typically struggle a bit more with Sanderson whenever he's writing outside the Cosmere. I wasn't the biggest Skyward fan, Steelheart rapidly lost its appeal to me, and so I had mixed expectations going into this, and I would say it met where my expectations were. There is certainly a charm here. There's also just creative choices that, while they are the source of the charm, are strange. And after the massive success that I think inarguably the year of Sanderson has been, with 4 secret projects released and 3 of them being held up as some of the best from Sanderson by many of his fans, it's weird to end on this. I mean, I don't really think it's supposed to be the actual final note, but it's like in the last minute, we were all full from our 4-course meal, and right as we were about to leave, after the check even came, Sanderson sat down at our table and went, yeah, you really enjoyed those meals, but real quick, do you want to read a noir story about a guy in the future who plays pretend to be from the 1930s, and then he investigates a mass shooting, but do not worry, he doubles down on the misogyny from the time. Like, it's not bad, it's just different? And Jack Darren's most certainly is a neat character for a book of this length to tag along with. It's just, yeah, with a story this short, many of the problems you would assume might rear their head do. Characters have to be just extremely on the sleeve so that you can get an imprint of who they are in the very limited time allowed. And the mystery of it all does rely on just some like, ha-ha, reveal type things. That being said though, I think the strongest part of Long Chills and Case Dough is the investigative process alongside Jack Darren's and his assistant Alici? It's spelled A-L-I-C-I, which I think is Alici, right, Kayla? A-L-I-C-I. Would you say that, Alici? Okay, yeah, we're agreeing on Alici. And despite the overall presentations of the main character, especially being a bit corny, I did get some genuine chuckles reading through this, just because the level of absurdity and contrast of seeing someone stuck in such a retro time, living and thriving in a dystopian future. Fun combo. Right now though, especially with how immersed in the Sun Eater experience I am, I'm in the mood to pay extra close attention to character development and character details. And the zaniness of Jack Darren's began to feel a bit overwhelming to me personally, and the story as a whole seemed to rely on him being so over the top that there's no real growth to him. It's just a blah, look at this character and done. And I know people might say, well, it's a short story, you can't really develop a character in that amount of time. But I think this type of narrative, the noir genre, really begs for some type of growth and development from the character. The best noir stories of all time, Chinatown, Maltese Falcon, etc., do damage to their protagonists. The dark world has an impact on them, or the people around them are pulled down to be more in their jaded view. This book doesn't really have character development, period, which I have seen accomplished in stories this short. I really don't like, the more I've gotten into reading novellas or even short stories, length being used as an excuse not to have those within a story, because the greats of the genre absolutely have managed to accomplish that, and I want to hold everyone to the same bar. Pacing is absolutely fine. It would be hard to have any pacing issues in something this quick, and the tone is also very firmly established. It's an unorthodox one, but it works surprisingly well. We're following like a bit of a man-child, someone who's obsessed with making their whole life role-playing this caricature in a world that's pretty dark. And yeah, following investigating a mass shooting using explosives has undertones of holy God. It truly struck me, especially on my second read through, as the cast of Scooby-Doo stuck in a Fritz Lang film. It's kind of delightful, but I have a really hard time recommending it overall, because if you just open the first couple pages, you are greeted by what Sanderson has written. And of course, it's one of the most impressive list of works out there. And Sanderson is someone that so many people are trying to get into or are in the middle of reading. And when there's an author who's so overwhelming to your TBR, whenever they throw out something like this, which they have every right to do, and I'm not saying shouldn't be done, it just ends up falling inevitably incredibly low on a recommendation list, even with it being something you could just bang out in a short amount of time. And with my continual struggles for Sanderson's style when he's not within the Cosmere, he just definitely has the strength within the box, the universe he's made, where he's able to rely on so many concepts and themes that are built up just kind of to exist with the presence of the Cosmere. Here it falls into just a rather average category, which is impressive to say that an author who can take something that he kind of conceptualized a long time ago, punch it up and put it out now, still comes across as average. I'm just strangely left only recommending this to the most die-hard Sanderson completionists, or people who have just been taking part in the year of Sanderson, signed up for the Kickstarter, and get to have the excitement of opening the box, getting this special book, and reading it now. That's a large part of the value. There is like this moment we all get to feel as Sanderson fans where he's pulled off this year, it has been a success, and getting this little bonus story, this little cherry on top, is neat. I like that this was included. It really kind of makes that special moment. Like, this is something I'll be telling my kids about in the distant future, of this crazy author who pulled off this thing and it changed publishing, because it really has. The influx of authors going to Kickstarter for all kinds of stuff is still on the upward trend from that time. So the nerd in me is like, great, awesome experience, but the critic is sitting at like a solid 5 to 6 out of 10. It's neat, but nothing special. But okay, let's go ahead and slip into my spoiler thoughts for Long Chills and Case Doe in 3, 2, 1, now. I think the simplicity of leaning into pretty much every noir trope for a mystery is the right choice for something that especially has so little time to attempt anything new. I mean, of course, we even have the beautiful woman at the beginning who brought the mystery. There's a twist, information she's not telling, and the money he gets her at the end. Oh, you're even better than I deserve, but they're still coming for you, and I can't protect you from the mob. And she like randomly invites him to come with her, and he's just like, nah, women are nothing but trouble.
Women are all right.
It's so overtly like a love letter for the noir genre, while also feeling a bit parody-esque. I fluctuate from being like, that succeeded at being a cornball good time, to if any other author put this out under any other circumstance, would I be as generous? Everything from the guided bullets to not, the mass shooting twist with the dead grandma and all these things, the Chekhov's guns set-offs then shot, were pretty much exactly where you thought they would end up falling. I did really like the exploration of the idea of people going insane after putting them in like a deep fugue state, or not fugue state, sorry, hibernation sleep, however you want to call it, for like long distance travel, and then that being brought back for dead people kept in stasis for a long time. There's like the little tendrils of the real genius of Sanderson's world building still interjected here. And that's so impressive still. Like, Sanderson is such a good ideas guy that even a story he wrote in the early 2000s before he was more polished as an author is still filled with gems that are inspiring to see. And he does successfully, predictably or not, tie those in to have executions the payoff that make this still hold up to be rather entertaining. And one thing Sanderson I think usually has great strength with is understanding who exactly his audience for a book is going to be. The whole Skyward series is targeted towards a younger audience, and despite it not being my taste, I absolutely respect how successful Sanderson is in those books at appealing to a younger demographic. This one feels like it should be attempting to appeal to a younger demographic, especially with its characterization, but then having the backdrop of investigating a mass shooting, it doesn't feel like it would have the same appeal to that younger audience, or maybe get the green light from any parents who don't want their child reading a story about rockets being used on civilians. I also definitely wouldn't want my child picking up calling women skirts or dames. So I think my concluding thoughts on Long Chills in Keisto is it's a very successful novelty for Super Cosmere fans who are a part of the year of Sanderson. I think that's what it set out to be, and Sanderson was just trying to find a proper place to drop this book. And he has done so, but outside that context,
that excuse doesn't hold up anymore.
But that is all I have to say about this Sanderson curiosity. Like and subscribe if you have not already, and hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.